Previously on High Scores, High Stakes.
Our challenge game this week, which is, of course, for the avid listener, Tekken 7. We set it to the default. I think it's 60-second rounds, first to 3 to win. Classic Tekken with you snatch defeat from the jaws of victory, some would say, Tomahawk.
That's it, as we love to say in this podcast as well. Cardinal took himself off with 3 points there. It's a good start.
Yep, I know Sherry's always played King in Tekken 2 and Tekken 3 and stuff. He's a weird choice.
So this is another one gone to the wire. I don't remember this being as tight, actually. I thought it was kind of a bit more one-sided for Sherry, to be honest.
Oh, a wee late tech there, but they all count. Ah, that's it.
No, he's...
Yeah, as I said, that last game then ended 3-1 to me. So here are the final results of the fight. Tom versus me. Tom lost 3-2. Sherry versus Cardinal. Sherry lost 3-2. Tom versus Cardinal. Cardinal lost 3-1. Sherry versus me. Sherry lost 3-0. Tom versus Sherry. Tom lost 3-2. And Cardinal versus me. Cardinal lost 3-1. So that means throughout this tournament or extravaganza or round robin, whatever we're calling it, I don't know what it is. The points are as follows. Sherry has picked up 5 points. Cardinal has picked up 5 points. Tomahawk, you've picked up 7, which is a good showing.
Keeping the pace up.
But not as good as my showing.
No.
I won all 3 of my fights, so I picked up 9 points.
Now, on to this week's episode.
Hi everyone, and welcome to Season 2, Episode 11 of the High Scores, High Stakes podcast. The podcast that thinks it's a supercar, but it's actually a banger. I'm your host, Mr. Luvva, and with me as always are my co-hosts.
I don't know who wants to go first. I'm going to go first today. So, Tomahawk here. How are we doing, Luvva? Good to be back.
Yes, it's always good to see your smiling face, Tomahawk.
Yes. And we brought someone else from the depths, from the abyss. It's Mr. John Sherry. How are you, friend?
I'm good. It's good to be doing my 11th straight episode of season 2. So on a hot streak. Where were you last week?
As I said, I was away touching grass, but I'm back. You're back. Love is always here, so we don't need to worry about that. What about Cardinal?
Cardinal is still MIA, gentlemen.
You and Sherry have done some dodgy deal and have traded places. That's what it is.
Maybe it's some like fly type experiment where Cardinal has put his consciousness into Sherry's body. Has anyone considered this?
He's away hiding in the Big Brother house.
Cardinal's just wearing a Sherry suit. That's what it is.
That's what it is. It's like Men in Black. It's a Men in Black type scenario.
5 nights at Sherry's.
Oh, brilliant. It's good to be back.
It is good to be back. But right now, a lot of our new listeners are going, what is this absolute mess I'm currently listening to? I'm going to tell you, folks, don't worry. It's not usually like this. It is. But High Scores, High Stakes is 4 friends with 4 PlayStations. And each and every week, we'll pick a different game. And we will compete in a challenge in that game. We compete in a league table. The winner of each challenge will get 3 points. Second place will get 2 points. Third place gets 1 point. And last place gets what they deserve. The big fat nil point. Right now,
0.
Before we do this week's challenge game, the league looks like this in 4th place. It's like he was born there. And the town council are like, please get out. And he's like, nope, I'll never leave. Is Sherry with 20 points. Cardinal is currently in 3rd place with 26 points. And then we have a massive leap. Tomahawk, you're in 2nd place with 48 points. And then we have another massive leap. and it's me in first place with 61 points. I know what you're thinking. How did I get into a podcast with this gaming god? By my good grace. Just remember that, gentlemen.
Nobody else would do this with you. I have to remember that one too.
It'll be a very different podcast if I was challenging myself every week. Like, I don't think the content would be half as good, to be fair to it. Now, I
Just
really
little
don't.
bots running around. Yes. But this is it. This is what we have to deal with now. We said in season 2 we're going to go bigger, better, more points. I don't think it's getting out of hand yet, but the gaps are starting to show big time.
Very close. It's very close to out of hand.
There's two. It's turned into 2 mini leagues, hasn't it? You have the absolute champs, me and Tomahawk, and then the absolute chumps, Cardinal, who's ironically our reigning champion, and Sherry.
It's not the best defense I've ever seen, but
No, it is right up there with Leicester City's, isn't
Oh,
it?
yeah.
Won the league one season, finished 12th the next. That's
Is
Cardinal.
this not what happened to him? This is what happened to him last year. He was
Uh,
like duking out me for last place, and then got
bloody goes and wins
slingshotted
it.
to the
Yeah.
top.
Yeah, I think last season, didn't he was third throughout the entire season until episode 7. And then he went in a streak of 3 wins and then ended
Runs
up
on the
winning
trot.
the league.
That's right.
Yeah. And speaking of 3 wins on the trot, I am 1 game away from a wee 3 streak. Could history be repeating itself? I have sat third most of this season. And then all of a sudden, 2 wins, 1 big one in Resident Evil. And I know Tom's going to say, well, Resident Evil's your game, mate. You picked it, blah, 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 blah. I'm going to direct Tomahawk to the planning of season 2, in which he played a very active role. And we greenlit and we allowed vetoes of games. Not once they say, no, I don't want to play Resident Evil because I'm scared. I don't like Midnight Sonata. Not once did you say that.
Oh,
And
I have
then
nothing.
That's a very
You've said more than I ever could. It was a pretty flawless impression, to be fair.
I know.
I had my grievances last week as well, to be fair. So I'm happy enough to let that challenge lie.
You did. Speaking of last week's challenge, it was Tekken. How'd it go for you, Tom?
It was pretty alright.
I mean, if you
I mean-
count a 33% rate, went all right.
I mean,
Suppose
if
it went
you're
alright.
not first, you're last.
Exactly.
That's kind of the attitude we adopted. High scores, high stakes.
Yes. I think I said last week it was a poor second.
Oh yeah.
Stand by that. It was a poor second. Now, I know for the past couple of weeks I have been banging on about Grudge Chip and Sherry. But unfortunately, here's the crack. Sherry's too frightened in order to allow me to Grudge Chip him. So, if memory serves me right, now come on, keep me right here. If memory serves me right, last week in Tekken, Sherry was schooled by your boy Luvva. Am I right? Was that a whitewash? The only whitewash of the
believe.
series?
I the editing brain in me would allow for 30 seconds to watch the clip back, but
No,
we're not that
we're not doing
bad.
We're not that podcast. I remember distinctly giving him a lesson in Tekken. I am happy enough for that to not be a grudge chip, but to be in lieu of a grudge chip. I think he's learned his
Okay.
lesson. He's messed with Luvva once, and he's found out once. Any more of his nonsense, I'll be taking him back to school. I'll be taking out Ken and bringing him to Street Fighter 5 or 6. And embarrassing
I do
McGeehan for all the
think-
C on the internet.
I do think with that in mind, it may need to be something to reassess in the future, the grudge chip, because season 1 we played for 0 points. Season 2 you've played in lieu
Mm-hmm.
of a grudge chip. I feel as if we're not doing what nature's intended with the grudge chip, so it might be something to reassess in the closed season.
In the space of that sentence from Tomahawk, I just had a wonderful idea. Why,
Oh, dear.
why not? Why don't we, in our off season and our side quests, keep our grudge chips to then, and then we can have grudge chip special episodes.
Oh, I like that.
Yes, I like that indeed.
Just air our grievances, and it's a 4-game bonanza.
of just pure and unadulterated
Just
picking
hate-
games to give
hate
us
games.
give us the advantage over our enemies. I think that's what we should do with it.
God
It
damn
it
it.
will be
I like it.
considered. It will be considered. We'll let our audience, our listeners, judge on that. I think this week's poll is going to be: should we have Grudge Chip special episodes? I like an idea. I like an idea.
I'm
It's-
actually
I like
looking at the schedule now, and I'm thinking, what? Siran can get in the bin, can he? We could just do a grudge chip episode.
I mean, you just think, who's the weakest of the guests we have on? Is it C-Ran? Quite possibly. I mean, he came
Most
here
definitely.
with his Inno
Twice.
business, and then he came in, and then he was like, is he good? Is he good? We'll see. We'll see. C-Ran, if you're listening to this, I know you are. You better watch your step, kid. But I think that could be an idea. We'll let the listeners, would they like Grudge Chip special episodes in which we pick a grievance that we've all had? Because I'm pretty sure we all have grievances. We're too nice to one another. Yeah, my difficulty with Sherry is, what game could I pick that would guarantee me 3 points? And I couldn't think of one, which is a shocker when you think I like all the time I've spent in the top position is still massively outweighed by the time Sherry spent in last position. So it should be easy to find a game, but I know when it comes to a grudge chip, Big Sherry will bring out his A game.
He fears me.
And he'll embarrass me. And I'm not here to be embarrassed. I'm here to do the embarrassing.
Shows up when it matters. That's the best thing.
He does show up when it matters. And do you know what else matters? Do you know what else matters, Tomahawk?
Let's hear it.
I'll tell you what matters. What really matters is me asking you, what are you playing?
Nice. Well, we touched on my initial plan to play the Resi games. We're not going to really discuss that too much because I'm just still battering on with Resi Remake. I've been playing Sea of Stars pretty much exclusively this week.
Right.
I find it hard to describe how good that game is. It is utterly fantastic. Like, I put about 20 hours into this game, and I still I feel like as if I'm coming to the end, but I still feel it's another like 8 to 10 hours.
I mean, number one, I'm going to talk about Sea of Stars, but I don't know what to say about how good it is. Great content. Thank you very much for that.
That's it, yes. You're welcome. Good night.
Second point, I feel like every time you talk about Sea of Stars, you say, I feel like I'm coming to the end. You said it after 6
know.
hours. Here we are,
But this
30
is
hours
it.
later.
Every time it does this like big boss, and then I'm like, yep, big cutscene. We don't get very many cutscenes in this. And then they throw out another villain, or they throw out a squad of villains, and then throws out a whole other section of narrative.
Right.
So, without sort of spoiling too much, basically all my characters have split off to do 4 different side missions. I thought there was a chance I wasn't going to be able to play them, and they were all just going to ping
Stay
back once
separate.
I'd completed my section. No, you get to play it as all 4 sections.
Ooh.
It's excellent. And you come back, and basically what you got to do is clear out a volcano and fight a giant toad lava monster.
Right.
Then you've got to capture wind. This is how bizarre this game is. Then you've got to fight a giant sea monster,
So you have to Dutch oven yourself.
basically.
Deep.
also, a character can bake a giant loaf of bread and wake up a sleeping dragon. This is how bonkers this game is.
Okay. It sounds pretty spectacular. I'm not going to lie. It sounds
It's
spectacular.
it is one of those games that I feel as if I would need like a full hour to sort of, and maybe like a year's grace where everyone's played the game and I could spoil it,
Mm-hmm.
to fully talk about and break down how good this game is, because I feel as if you're going to play it, if I say any sort of key plot points, it's going to sort of ruin that for
Okay.
potential
okay.
players.
Let's not do that, because as I said last
Yes.
week, it's a game that's on my to play list. Big time. Big time. So
That's it. No, I'm gonna allow the time for you boys to actually jump in, get it played, and I think it's gonna be worth a dissection at a later date.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It sounds great. Everyone's raving about it. I think it's overwhelmingly positive on Steam as well. It's like 90% or something on Steam.
I can't
so
get over that it's free. That's the thing.
It was free everywhere except PC, for goodness sake. Free on Xbox Game Pass, free on PlayStation Plus. And I was like, it has to be a Steam Deck game for me. It has to be. It just seems like the game for it.
and it will once it goes on sale, I will buy it.
Yeah.
And I will play it. Despite the fact that I have it on PlayStation 5. I just don't feel like it's the right platform for it. I really don't.
Yeah,
No, you're
Orwell.
right.
Right, Sherry. Now it's your turn, mate. We've had Sea of Stars. Tell me, what are you playing?
What haven't I been playing? I've been playing the ukulele, but that's not a PlayStation game.
It's
Mostly
Ukulele Hero.
Spider-Man. Ukulele Hero, yeah.
Incredible.
Most of my time has been going into probably Spider-Man 2, which
Okay.
is excellent. But I'm still not that far. I think I'm like 50% through the way through the campaign, but I'm
Okay.
like spending time doing other things as well. So I think if I was to like mainline it, you could probably be done with it within like 10 hours, maybe. The story
Really?
anyway. Maybe less, yeah.
Okay.
Like, I feel like every time I play it, I only play it for like an hour and a bit, but you jump like 20% every time. So
Okay.
unless I run into like some major hurdles, I think you could probably bang it out relatively quickly if you just went straight for it. But you're not going to play it like that anyway, so
You're gonna do a lot of exploring, a lot of side missions and stuff.
yeah, it's one of those games where you're like swinging through the city and then you get like these wee pop-ups go boop, like new photo up discovered,
My balloon.
new something else discovered. That's spoilery. I'm not going to say
I
it.
take it then the side quest stuff kind of takes from the Miles Morales game where it's like your live feed on the phone. Then I take it that's
Yeah.
how a lot of side missions come. Okay, cool.
Yeah, Genki's still about. But I tell you, the side content is so. I don't. How do I put this? Boring. A lot of it is so. A lot of it I do just for the sake of I have to do it because I'm trying to clear the map and get like stuff to unlock sits and all. You know, the materials you get, like the city points and stuff like that there. Otherwise, I wouldn't be bothering doing most of them. Like, to be
Okay.
perfectly honest, I think that's
Yes.
always been like Insomniac's weak point is like their side quest stuff is usually pretty mundane.
It's very insert generic New Yorker. I'm walking here. Go get my
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, like there's one that's like literally just like, oh, I'm not even gonna say it, it's just horrendously bad.
I'll do it. Let's hear it.
There's one where it's like a quest chain. So like the
Right.
first one is like you're supposed to go help your mom's friend who's like trying to get like an investor for a music museum,
Mm-hmm.
and when you go to help them, like it's being robbed. So then they steal instruments. You have to chase down the vans, and then once you do that, it's like, oh, you got a drum. Now you go get everything else. So it's also going to be like bit by bit. It's like I don't really
Right.
want to do. And it's like unlock a special suit when you complete all the music quests. I was like, no, thank you.
But
No,
what
I don't
what
think I will.
what Sherry doesn't know is the last instrument he has to get is a real life ukulele and play it to the microphone.
That would actually spice it up. I like that. I like that a lot. But yeah, apart from that, the only other two games I've been playing were non-PlayStation games. Relic Hunter Legends. Is that what you call it on
Yes,
PC?
yeah,
What a
yeah.
game!
What a game
What a game!
indeed.
And I've been meddling with Rocksmith, the piano update,
Oh,
Okay,
nice.
which is
Cool.
awesome. My
Good.
wrists hurt a lot and my fingers hurt a lot.
cool. What about Rocksmith?
Yeah, it's like you don't realize how
Hilarious.
you don't realize you're actually doing something wrong for a long time before until you start playing it. You're like, oh, this is what it's supposed to feel like. It genuinely hurts now doing it properly.
I could just make the same joke again, but I'm not gonna. Oh dear, oh dear. Right. So, anything else? Or
No, I think that's mostly it. I think that's
Yeah.
mostly it. I'm supposed to be playing something else, but I haven't, so we'll not say anything more about that.
okay. Mysterious.
Very mysterious.
I'm intrigued. Very much so.
What about yourself then, lover?
I have
What are
been
you
playing.
playing?
That's my line. But okay. I like it. I have been playing Alan Wake Remastered.
Oh, be a beauty.
So I'm not very far in. I'm finished the second episode. I think they're called episodes, aren't they? They're not chapters.
Yeah, it's like it's done like the TV show kind of format, even with
Yeah.
the previouslys and stuff.
Yeah, so basically I've done that. I've met with the stranger in the forest and then got back to my agent. and that is where the game has left off. It is really good, actually. It's good. It's not a horror game, is it? It's not a horror
Survival
game.
thriller.
I've never played Alan Wake's.
I wouldn't even call it survival at all because there's no resource management in it at all. The game just hurls bullets and batteries at you. I think when you were playing it, I asked, is it still Energizer? No, it is not.
It's just straight up lithium now.
Just
Yeah.
straight up pick up lithium batteries, which is a disappointment. Although the achievement or the trophy is still called Energized. So it is, which is quite good. But yeah, no, it is really, really fun. It's harder than I remember. It's way more difficult.
Yes.
I mean, especially the opening scene where it's, spoiler alert, it's a dream. The dream sequence at the start. I got killed there about twice with the guys chasing me. And I was like, what is going on?
You find
I
you
don't
get
remember-
swarmed really quickly
really easily.
and
really
overpowered
easily.
pretty quick as well.
Yeah.
It gets worse in the later chapters, to be fair. Just so you know.
I know that. I've got my tactics down now, so I do. But it is really fun. Although one thing it's really annoying me about it is, and I'm presuming it is something to do with the remastering they've done on it, but the cutscenes, the in-engine cutscenes. So when you come into the town, it pans over the town from the boat. Really, really choppy. And I'm presuming it's because it was originally a 30 frames per second target on the Xbox 360, and because they've upresed it and then bumped it up to 60, that it's caused some issue with the in-engine cutscenes.
Okay.
It happens all the time, and it's really distracting. It's like
It just
really,
takes you out of it.
really, really choppy. I'm presuming they've done some AI smoothing or something because it looks awful at parts, and it's fine in game. It's just those in-engine cutscenes look. They're so choppy. They are horrendous. It actually was giving me a sore head. So now I just sort of indirectly look at the screen when they're playing because it was giving me headaches. But really good game, really good fun. I have also been playing Katamari Rerolled on the Steam Deck.
Ooh.
It was in a Humble Bundle, the Namco Humble Bundle.
Of course, it was a humble bundle.
And it is fantastic. It's so surreal and so weird. Do you know the story behind Katamari at all?
No, not a clue.
Vaguely.
So the
They were
universe,
PlayStation 2 games, weren't they?
yeah,
Roughly.
yeah. So basically, the cosmos is ruled by a king, and the king falls asleep, and the cosmos gets destroyed while he's sleeping, and you are his son.
Standard.
You are the prince of the cosmos, and you have to go about, Earth at the minute, and roll up items so you can deliver it to the king of the cosmos so he can turn them back into the stars. But the whole while there's like this side story, so it's like the most surreal thing. And then there's like these little cutscenes at the end of every level where it's like anime style. These Japanese family have watched the news and all the stars have disappeared, and it's just like, Mom, all the stars have disappeared, and it's like, no, that's not real. Things like that don't happen. It's just like the most bizarre thing, but it's actually brilliant. Really, really good fun. So basically, you hold both triggers and you hold both sticks and go in that direction and roll up everyday items into a massive ball, so you can deliver it to the king of the cosmos, so you can make stars out of it.
Okay.
Really good fun.
I've never
Really-
played any of those games.
I
I
haven't-
know what they are, but I always the only other game I've tried that's kind of that vein is Loco Roco.
Yeah. Loco Roco's it's more of like a weird platformer more than this. This is like a 3D thing. It's actually really fun. The last one I played was, I think it was called Katamari Forever in the Xbox 360. But this one's really, really good fun. Really good fun. I could see it getting really repetitive, but it is what it is, isn't it? I doubt it's going to be a very long game, but it's really good fun. I have also been playing Relic Hunters Legends as well. Really, really fantastic game. Really fantastic. I could see me playing that for a very, very, very long time. It gets ridiculously hard.
Yeah.
Especially if you're like me and I'm really impatient when you're loading the levels. You know, it's waiting on other hunters. And I'm like, well, I'm not.
Yeah,
See you.
I just it still searches while you're playing.
Yeah.
It still searches while you're playing. Like
Yeah.
I was playing it and I got to the first boss where it's like the two twins or something. And if you kill one before the other, the one rages. So you have to kind of wear them down one by one, but like constantly charging.
okay.
and
Oh,
stuff.
try to kill them at the same time type thing. Okay,
Yeah.
that's pretty cool. I'm not that far into it yet. It took me ages to figure out. Like I said last week, how you unlock levels, rebel level. It took me ages to figure out how to do that. Ages, an embarrassing amount of time. So it did an embarrassing amount of time. It was ridiculous. But here, that's it, really. I've also been playing another game, and I'm pretty sure we've all been playing it. Cities Skylines, which is, of course, are mentioned in episode 1, but never again throughout this entirety of season 2.
Let's just decide to hide from this.
It is our it is our season-long challenge, and it is worth a whopping 10 points. I am presuming I'm the only one taking this seriously, gentlemen, by your reactions there.
I mean, as always.
I've installed it.
So here's what I think we should do. We're going to reveal. So the challenge for those here uninitiated, we did talk about it in season 2, episode 1, Wipeout. So go watch it if you want it there. Basically, the challenge for the season is we have to build a city, and the person with the highest population in said city at the end of the season will get 10 points. So the challenge is really simple. Build a city, load it full of houses, get people to live there, keep them alive. Easy. So I think just to build anticipation for the finale where we will reveal our populations. Tell me, Sherry, how's your city coming along, mate?
It's all up there. That's all that matters, right? I've got it.
It's a contextual city. Oh, okay. So do we dole out points for context? Yeah.
It's actually worth 5.
There you go.
Imagination. Fair enough.
Imagination, Tom.
So you haven't played it at all?
I've played it. Sure.
What a hero. That is typical Sherry, isn't it?
I'll lure you all in. You're like, oh, he hasn't played it. We could slack off. Boom, slacked in 100,000 residents. How about that? I've built a mini New York on the PlayStation 5.
Incredible scene. So can't wait to see that. Can't wait. So I'm presuming your population is 0.
You can assume.
No, I like it. So
we're gonna. That's it.
So we're gonna keep it vague, I suppose. I was going to tell you my exact population, but now I'm not so sure. Tomahawk, please tell me you're further along than Sherry is.
Well, I'm technically on my 3rd attempt to make a city. So I did start way back in episode 1.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of just forgot about it.
Mm-hmm.
Chimed back in at about episode 5 with about 1,500 people.
Yep.
Then I went, nah, I could do better. Scrapped in, started tonight. I am sitting at very sick, very angry, 3,167 residents.
That's all right.
They have to be there. They don't have to be sound of body, sound of mind. They just have to be there. I remember that much in the challenge quota.
Yeah, they don't have to be happy people. They just have to be people living in your city. That is the challenge. It's not
I did send the screen grab into the chat pre-record, and there was a lot of little speech bubbles, a lot of angry little icons.
There really was. There was a lot of people who were either sick or on fire.
I mean, that's what Tomahawktopia is all about.
Now,
it's chaos or serenity. There's no in between.
I'm no sociologist, but I do happen to think, that sick people and people who are on fire are not going to help you add to your population. You need to sort that out, mate. You need a fire department and you need a hospital.
I have a few things to plug, a few bits to do, but just over 3,000 populace. I'm okay with that so far.
Okay. Cardinal is keeping his number under wraps. Does not wish to divulge his population, which is rude. That's why he's not here. He doesn't want to
imagine on a podcast, a talking medium. He doesn't want to talk about it.
Crazy. Absolutely
Weird.
crazy. Top content. First of all, we had Tom saying, I don't know how to say how good Sea of Stars
Sea of Stars is indescribable.
And then we have Cardinal not even bother saying anything. It's rude.
Graceful.
I have been given this a jolly good go. That's all I'm going to say. A jolly good go. I have put in 6 hours into it since the start of episode 1. My first city, like Tom, I've had multiple cities. My first one, I forgot to turn off natural disasters, and it flooded. and it wiped out 80-something% of my population. So I was like, nah, I'm done with it. Let's start again and turn off natural disasters. So I did, and that's exactly what I've done. My population, as it stands, is 22,500 people.
Oh dear.
All very happy, all very prosperous. But that's where I'm looking at. 22,500. Almost exactly. Almost exactly. So there we
But
go,
I did
gentlemen.
notice when you're talking about natural disasters, the look in Tom's eyes, he's like, oh god.
You can turn that off.
I don't know.
I don't think plague and fire is. I don't think I'm going to count that as a natural. It's just bad resource management is what that is.
Yeah, I mean, it absolutely caught me by surprise when it was like, it just rained and rained and rained and rained. And I was like, I don't care. And then I did care when I saw the water rush on inland and take out 3/4 of my city. And I was like,
22,000 people. That's a piece of information to digest there.
it's a lot of people.
That is
It's
a lot of people.
You will find when you're playing it that there's points in your population where you'll struggle to get anyone, and then it'll just exponentially increase, and then it'll slow down for little to no reason. Once you hit about 15,000 people, you have to start considering infrastructure. Otherwise, businesses and people will complain about a lack of infrastructure. So you do need to worry about your roads. You do need to worry about your buses, your bus routes, your train times. You need to worry about all that. And you need to worry about how, and this is the top tip, how are people going to get off the highway and get into your city? That's a massive, massive hint of what you need to do.
Okay. Well, we have a week before our final submission. Lots to do.
Speed
We're going
run.
to speed run cities. That's what we need to do, Sherry.
I mean, I'll be honest with you, I've only put 6 hours into it, and I would say 3 of them were in my first city. I think my first city wiped out at like 16,000. So 3 hours. And the second city.
It's put a bit of a graft in. It's not so much just passively chime in every 20 minutes
it's not even
of every day. Yeah.
It's not even that. It's not a lot of people. I think there's an achievement for getting 200,000 people in your city. It's not that big a population. It really isn't. You'll be able to get that in an hour or two. A lot of the time I just leave my PlayStation running while I go make tea or make dinner, because it's just going to sim with you watching it or not.
It's literally going to watch paint dry otherwise, yeah.
Mm-hmm. A lot of the time I was waiting for money to build up anyway to be able to build something new, so I just leave the PlayStation simming away while I go and do other things. So there we go.
Best way for it. Well, it's a lot to take off that update. It's certainly an eye-opening number anyway.
You now know what you have to do. So the question is, can you guys catch me and overtake me before I can build my city up more? Maybe my PlayStation 5 is simming right now. Who knows? It's not. Mrs. Luvva would kill me if I left it on and not in the room.
Interesting.
But anyway, that is one challenge. Here comes another challenge. And it is the return, the glorious return of the internet's latest, greatest, most popular game show that there is. It's Name That Game. Let's get over there, gentlemen. Name That Game. My favorite part of the podcast, probably, because I get to see your little hamsters in your heads go grrr. Sherry has only played one edition of it and was a pretty spectacular go of it. Didn't even need a single clue, Tomahawk, so you've got it all to do. So for new listeners,
I did watch that back. It was mighty impressive, I'm not gonna lie. But then you
Really?
two are weirdly connected in the brain, so maybe it's that.
who knows? I didn't write any of these reviews. Right, so Name That Game for new listeners is really simple. It is me spending a lot of time scrolling amazon.co.uk and typing into the search bar PlayStation 5 games, and then scrolling through each game and reading every individual reader review for that game. I have made a selection of a lot of games, and I'm going to pick 2 and I'm going to read that review out. And it is the job of Tomahawk and Sherry to name that game. The league table for this makes for interesting reading. We did at the start of it say, can Cardinal beat Google? And right now, the league table looks like this. We have Randy Raichu. He only played one episode of it. He got 0. We've had Cardinal, who's played in every edition of it, apart from the one Sherry played in this one. He's got 1.5 points. Google has 2 points. Sherry has 2 points. C-Ran has 2 points. And Tomahawk, you have 6 points. So you're miles in the lead. But, as I said, Sherry's only played one edition of this, and he's only 4 points behind you. And we got 2 games tonight. And we have a
Close the
theme.
gap.
We have a theme for the games tonight, as we always do. And this week's theme is continuing on from the last episode. It is fighting games.
Beautiful.
Both reviews are going to be fighting games. So just to give you a quick recap of the rules, I will read out the review. Don't shout anything out when I'm reading. Once I've finished reading, you'll get one guess. If no one gets it, then I'll read you a clue, and you get one more guess. And up that will just follow up for 3 clues. If at the end of 3 clues no one's guessed it, then nobody gets the point. Easy peasy, yeah?
Yeah.
Are you
Solid.
ready for game number 1?
No.
Okay,
Yes.
cool. Game number 1. Extremely disappointing for so many reasons. I'll gloss over the disappointment of it not coming with the widely publicized download code for an earlier game in the series, as so many others have already aired their grievances about this, as well as the drastic price drop that occurred on launch day, stiffing us over the pre-order guarantee that should have seen my pre-order price drop by £6 rather than just 3. He's not happy. I've been a fan of this series since I first played the original incarnation in the arcades, and later the SNES. It's responsible for my long-term love of the fighting game genre. I've owned ports of the various entries in the series for every system that I've ever owned, and I play the arcade ROMs via MAME or FBA on my Pandora box arcade hardware. It's pretty brave of a man to say I'm pirating the games that are freely available from the publisher, but okay. Tomahawk, Sherry, name that game.
I'll let you go first, Tom.
The only one I can think of is, just off the bat, I'm going to go Street Fighter 6.
Okay.
I'm gonna go Virtua Fighter 5.
Okay. Both incorrect.
Oh, okay.
No.
Clue number 1. It was published and developed by Capcom. Tomahawk, Sherry, name that game.
Damn it! I was, and I don't think they did this. It's Streets of Rage.
Okay.
No.
That's your. You've
Yeah,
guessed
that's
the
what.
game.
That's. I was gonna say, is that what it's called now? I don't know.
Street of Rage is a game.
That's okay. That's all right.
I don't recall ever playing Streets of Rage on a SNES. Just saying.
It's just, you're a different generation, mind.
The one that grew up with the SNES. Sherry, do you have a guess? No?
SNK.
SNK. Published and developed by Capcom.
That's
Clue.
what he gave. Like I was around that time.
Clue number 2. And this is a banger. I'm not joking when I say it's one of the best compilations of fighting games. Name that game.
Yeah, I know what it is now.
Do you want to go first? Put me out of our misery, then.
Street Fighter 25-year anniversary edition collection, is it?
Go on ahead, Tom.
I'm just gonna work backwards then. I'm just gonna go Street Fighter 5 because that's too specific.
Okay. I'm in two minds. Are you? Sherry has it almost right.
I got the number wrong today.
You have. You have. It is. So we're going to go to clue number 3.
Oh dear.
It is a collection of games celebrating a birthday. Name that game.
Now, only for the fact that you cut out slightly, Sherry, but I've got Street Fighter 25th Anniversary Edition, but I don't know which one. So, panic. Pass.
Oh, okay. It's up to you, Sherry.
I don't know.
You got the number wrong.
Street Fighter 20th anniversary.
Oh, dear. You went the wrong way.
No, it's
30th, is
30th.
it?
Street
No.
Fighter 30th collection. Dear, oh, dear.
Sad,
Dear, oh, dear. Right.
sad.
Game number 2. Pro tip. If you have a PlayStation 5 stick. Oh, sorry. Let me reset that again. There's lack of punctuation. It's hard to read. Pro tip. If you have a PS5, stick with the previous game that you get for free as part of the PlayStation Network games collection. This game, whilst looking nice, has been, all caps, absolutely ruined by microtransactions. You can slave away in the hope that you can collect enough currency to hopefully, at random, unlock moves for a particular character, or you can pay for that move with cold hard cash. I'm turning this off, never playing it again. It's absolute rubbish and a waste of cash considering you get the previous game for free. Buyer beware. Tomahawk, Sherry, name that game.
Oh, I don't know that. I forgot that it's a fighting theme, so I was about to say something else entirely.
Was it Last of Us Part 2?
No. Until you said microtransactions, I was that close.
Any guesses?
I think I know.
I'm really kind of just thinking along the lines of WWE Battlegrounds. It's the only one I can think of that would be transactionable.
It's not.
Because I know the skins are, and I know that the avatars are as well.
It's not a bad guess, to be fair. It's not a bad guess at all. Sherry.
Mortal Kombat 11.
Beautiful. Absolutely right. Mortal
Well
Kombat
done.
11.
Really,
Kombat
that
11.
it's
Because Mortal Kombat 10 was just as bad, just not as bad, and then 11 pushed over the edge
but microtransactions for move sets
for everything.
For fatalities, yeah.
is criminal.
Sure, there's in Mortal Kombat 1, they're literally like last week we're selling a Halloween themed fatality.
You're joking me.
No, swear to God. How did you miss this? It was all over the news.
Because I haven't played Mortal Kombat. They haven't made a
Neither
good
have
Mortal
I.
Kombat game in years.
I honestly haven't played Mortal Kombat since Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3 or Mortal Kombat Trilogy. What a game that was.
Mortal Kombat Trilogy is the last one I've probably played with any sort of heart, we'll say.
Yeah, I hate Mortal
That's
Kombat.
that's insane to
Right, okay.
microtransaction that kind of game.
I hate. I don't hate Mortal Kombat. I hate NetherRealm's animation style. It just adds unnecessary delay, or at least it feels like there's delay, and it's just not fluid, and it's just they're not very good games, in my opinion. And I know
Tune into
that's-
season 3 when we do a
Mortal
Mortal
Kombat
Kombat
11.
tournament.
Injustice.
Oh, Christ, no.
I hate it. Injustice. I don't like NetherRealm Studios the way they make their games at all. It just feels like there's a delay. It's just not as fluid or as responsive as like Street Fighter or even Tekken. It's probably a me problem. It probably is a me problem because I know the fighting game community absolutely love Mortal Kombat games, and now I'm going to get hate mail. But it is what it is. I don't like it. You can't make me like it. So, nah. How you like that, Mortal Kombat fans? Finish him. And speaking of finishing, shall we finish this segment and go to the challenge game?
Yeah, you would want to do the wrap up the scores though. Do you want to see how that affects the league table going into
Oh,
the
yeah.
finale?
I'm trying to
I'll
segue
keep you right,
smoothly
lover.
here.
Don't you be worrying.
My goodness. Right, so the league table then. The league table looks like this. Randy is on 0. Cardinal's on 1.5. Google is still on 2. C-Ran is on 2. Sherry is on 3. And Tom is on 6. So I think what we're going to do next week is we missed a few weeks of Name That Game. I think 3 weeks in total. So next week
Easily.
we're going to have a bumper 6-game edition and let's see who wins.
I was gonna say rather than elongate the section, play double points.
Whoa, I like that. I'm going to pick extremely hard games. You have been warned.
All right,
Okay.
I'm gonna can cities, and I'm gonna study Amazon reviews all weekend. Just get this done.
You do know that there's no prize, sadly, for this section, and you've missed a few episodes.
The
There's
prize
no prize.
is beating you, my friend. That is my prize.
My plan was to get into a comfortable lead and coast the rest of the season so I could focus on games. That didn't work, so now I'm going to have to think. So I hope you're happy. Thanks.
So it's all to play for next week. Make sure you tune in to catch the thrilling finale of Name That Game.
Love it.
And speaking of naming games, second segue, boys. Get ready for it. Speaking of naming that games, the name of the game of this week's challenge game is Wreckfest. So let's get there. Our challenge game then, the magnificent Team Sonic Racing, as was so confidently announced at the end of last week's episode. And then we went to play Team Sonic Racing and realized that it was no longer on PlayStation Plus.
No. Let's tell it as it is.
That's what
You
happened, mate.
failed. You failed to download it
Well,
when it was PlayStation Plus.
No,
You
listen,
never claimed it.
listen. You're conflating two very separate issues here. Number one, I have 2 hours play time in that game, which tells me that it was once on PlayStation Plus Premium. I've put 2 hours into it. Now, is it news to me that Team Sonic Racing was also a free game in February 2022? Absolutely, it's news to me because I didn't download it. Now, you're conflating 2 very separate issues. So,
Lava just doesn't like free games. We long established this in the chat yesterday.
I mean, it's nobody's fault that we couldn't play Team Sonic Racing. If anything, it's PlayStation's fault. It's no one else's. It's no one else's fault. Let's not cast the aspersions of blame on one person. It's clearly Sony's fault and Sega's fault, and maybe even Sumo Digital. You know, we're gonna have to.
We'll point all
everyone.
the fingers.
Yeah,
Except Mr. Lover.
no.
That's the one
But-
that matters.
But being the innovative podcast that we are,
We don't
we
let
adapt,
things like
we improvise, we overcome.
we don't let things like this. You know, one of us not having a game hold back top quality content in this podcast.
It's never stopped.
We just
before.
don't. What we did was then we went to PlayStation Plus and went down to the racing and driving section and realized that the selection there is quite awful.
Minimal.
It's awful. And we finally landed on Wreckfest, which, to be fair to it, it's not terrible. It's not a terrible game. I put a lot of hours into it on the PlayStation 4 and then forgot it existed until this week. When I was like, oh, we need a game to play Wreckfest. Ah.
As is the way. But actually, I know you're just right. It was a nice alternate, and it was a very good game. I'm very surprised at how enjoyable it actually was for the hours of prep that I did put in. Hours, I say 2. That was it.
Well, more prep than me, Sherry, and Cardinal combined, probably, to be honest with you. Let's be
I do
honest.
distinctly remember Cardinal going, "Well, I've just downloaded it," and it's like, "Well, we have to record in half an hour, so I'm glad."
Yeah, catchphrase of season 2 has to be, what's the controls? You know you're in for a good time when what's the controls is played just as we're like, right, we're going to play this now and
Right,
record it for the
3, 2,
podcast.
1, go. Yeah.
So it wasn't a joke.
But my favorite thing as well is Cardinal is a massive driving simulator fan. They are all exactly the same control
I've never
schemes.
seen a racing game deviate from that right trigger is accelerate, left trigger is brake, square is handbrake, and that's it.
I
That's
tried
great.
3 buttons: R2, L2, and X to see if there's any NOS.
To be fair, I did try see if X was accelerate because sometimes that can happen, but then I realized it's a grown-up driving game, so triggers go.
I can't remember the last time I played a game where X was the accelerator, to be honest. Outrun 2, maybe. It's the last one I played that had X
Gran
as the accelerator.
Turismo 2.
Oh, but on the analog buttons, of course. All the buttons in PlayStation 2 were analog. Don't forget this. People often do. But yes, Wreckfest. So basically what we've done here is, much like we did with Grip last season, it does seem to be a bit of a tradition forming here where our penultimate episodes are racing games. Last season we had Grip. This season we have Wreckfest. So what we've done is something similar. Long lap time. So 15 laps on a course whose name escapes me. But it's not really important.
No, it was
To be
generic
honest.
racer rally
Canyon.
doodad canyon.
Generic forest desert level with mud and crashes and thrills and spills. I quite liked it. I thought it was good fun. The track was actually really, really good. What about you, Tom? What do you think?
We did a lot of proofing, I think, on this to find a content worthy course. I think the one what we settled on very good. I think it was just enough. It was just enough that you could still. I think the purpose of the game is essentially a demolition derby, but
Yes.
it's a racer secondary.
Yep.
I think we've kind of flipped this game. We've turned it more racer and tried to avoid being a Wreckfest. But I haven't deleted it yet, so that's a good start. I did very much enjoy this challenge, to be honest.
Yeah, it was good crack. It was good crack. What do you think, Sherry? I know I saw your fan name for your video. So I think I know the answer to this. What do you think of it?
I didn't
Honestly.
mind it.
Okay.
Honestly,
Fair
I
enough.
didn't mind. I remember when it first came out, I was really excited for it when it
Mhm.
was free, because I think it launched on the PlayStation 5 free, didn't it? When it got ported.
Possibly, yeah.
Sorry, I've just seen Sherry's footage on YouTube there. Very good.
And I remember every time I played it sounded like my PlayStation 5 was going to take off. I remember
Mhm.
they must have had like an unlocked frame rate at the very beginning or something. So I
They
was
mu-
why I was
yeah.
quite dubious to play it this time. But it was no, they've did a lot of work to it seemingly, and it runs rock solid. Like the frames are.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's the thing that got me most about it, because I remember playing it on PlayStation 4, and PlayStation 4 it would have ran fine until you started hitting track scenery, and all those tires are rendered individually, and they all have physics and stuff. Once the track started getting littered, the PlayStation 4 just could not
Panic
cope.
stations.
It just couldn't cope. Sounded like a jet engine, and the frames tanked to about 20 frames a second. Whereas the PlayStation 5 is rock solid, or it felt rock solid at 60. And that's the thing that took me the most. The second thing that took me the most was the triggers, the adaptive triggers on it, on the dual
Beautiful.
are
Absolutely
incredible.
stunning.
It's just
Yeah,
incredible.
when you hit something and you feel your tires getting stuck, you can feel like pushing up against you
That
again. You're like,
judder.
no.
Oh,
Yeah, and when your front axle gets damaged, you can feel the higher vibration on one side of your controller and stuff. It was just I thought it was a really good game. I really enjoyed it. Our race is really quite good as well. There was a couple of races prior to our record that were incredible.
that's it. Because we
Absolutely
tried it a few
incredible.
times. We did it in the same style as Grip. We put many bots on the field. I think they just became a distraction, actually, as opposed to in Grip, where it was mainly Sherry's problem. I think
Yep.
if I'm correct in saying that.
Yeah, absolutely.
This one. I think the driving AI on it's really strange because they don't drive to race. They drive just to be in your way,
Mm-hmm. Or they're
accidentally in your way as well.
Yeah, they're super aggressive to each other, and they will. I find that they will impede you by driving alongside you and then edging you into scenery, and it just absolutely ruins any sort of race you were having. And they were. It's a strange thing that the AI is awful, like absolutely awful, because they don't race. They just destroy each other, get in your way, and then just litter the track at the end. They're just
That's it. I will
obstacles.
say the big shout out to the AI for one of the runs that we did before our actual record, where we had it was a wee loop at the end and it circles back.
Right, crossover,
And Luvva
yeah.
didn't realize that the track crosses and just gets T-boned.
Absolutely.
And all you hear on the chat is, "Oh, I've just been wrecked. What's going on? Like, I'm not playing this track. This is rubbish."
And it was rubbish. The one
It
thing I
was
will
pretty
say,
bad.
one thing I'll say about this game is it has a lot of rubbish tracks. Like there was some we were
Limited.
playing that was like literally, you drive up one side, drive up the bank, and then come back down the way you came to go up the other side to come back. It's like the world's worst scaletrics. It was, some of them are awful. The ones that are good are really good, but the ones that are bad are atrociously bad.
I think it's a lot to say when it's your sort of server building. So a lot of the tracks really only work in certain game modes, and
Yes.
obviously we were going into this purely as a racer. So I think there's a lot of tracks that we did try that maybe worked as maybe an eliminator or as a demo derby, whereas I think we were harshly judging a lot of the tracks based on,
Yeah.
this is a racer, this is what we're playing this, and I think that's not how the game wants us to be playing it. But
Yeah, that's just a fair point. Actually, yeah, that's a good point. It's a very good point. It is like, it reminded me, I don't know about you too, it reminded me of what Psygnosis were shitting for with Destruction Derby 2, in that they wanted it to be this fun game full of crashes and spills and car parts littering tracks. Obviously, the PlayStation 1 couldn't really cope with, but whilst being a robust physics engine for quite a good racing game. And it reminded me of like what Destruction Derby, what I imagined Psygnosis as they sat around Liverpool studio dreaming up that game. It's probably, they wanted that to be what Wreckfest is now. They were just 20 years too early.
no, that's it. It's a solid execution. I will. I was always amazed about even the driver in the, like, no matter what damage the car does to the whatever damage it does to the car, the driver will just warp to the damage of the car. I thought that was incredible.
Yes, yes.
He's a little S-shaped man sitting in his wee driving seat.
Help!
Here's the true MVP.
I'm trying to have a race and this boy's crashing into me. So yeah, Wreckfest, good game. Really enjoyable. I haven't deleted it either. I will jump on to the campaign mode and see how far I get before I get bored, and then maybe even jump online and see what the other modes are like. The destruction mode, I'm imagining, would be really good fun on it, if short-lived, because the car damage meter goes down really fast. But shall we get to the gameplay of the challenge, gentlemen?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. So Wreckfest then is our challenge game. So really, really simple rules this week. First, second, third, fourth. It's really easy. The game is doing it for us. However, because we have promised more points every week, we are going to have one bonus point available. And the bonus point is for the person who posts the fastest lap. And the fastest lap is going to be worth one bonus point. So points depending on your finish in the race, plus one bonus point for the person who gets the fastest lap. And I think, without any further ado, let's get into it. Tomahawk, as is tradition, hit that play button, mate. Hit the play button. So let us... That's a cracker. I love that.
Oh,
That's really good. I think
really
the
good.
Cardinal's production value in the edits are getting great.
Top tier. So we've already started. Tomahawk, who's in the purple car, has decided to try to take on me in the yellow car. Tomahawk, I think I know the answer to this question. What were your tactics, sir?
Well, the thing though, I didn't adopt this tactic in any of the practice runs, and then I thought 3, 2, 1, go. Let's just resort to violence.
Right?
And it didn't massively pay off, but I'm sitting in second place, so
You're currently
something happened.
second. You're currently second. So for those who don't know what Wreckfest is, this is a mode called Banger Race. And we made the rule beforehand that everyone had to pick the same car, thus all the different colours currently on your screen. And Tomahawk, it is perfectly legal to try to take each other out throughout the course of a race. Tomahawk has decided, last minute apparently, which I don't believe for a second, that he was going to try to take me out. And the only reason I can think of this, Tomahawk, is one, you're frightened of my game in Prius, and two, you want to win this high scores, high stakes cup.
I was very in it to win it on this one, but I'm fully gonna fight this corner here and say that I did not adopt a violent method or a demolition derby mindset. Literally until we hit go, all our practice routes were like, I'm just gonna focus on driving. Like that's the aim of the game here. And I thought, wild card, let's do that.
So basically, what you've done there in the opening seconds of a race is try to ruin my chances, but do more and to damage my chances of winning, whilst possibly increasing your chances of winning. So right now, the rankings are 3 laps in. Cardinal sitting in a comfortable first, 5 seconds ahead of Tomahawk, who is 0.2 seconds ahead of me, and then finally following the pack is Sherry, as is tradition by now at times. So Sherry, tell me what were your tactics for this race? Hopefully not as dirty as Tom's.
Stay out of Tom's way.
Stay out of Tom's
That's what it
way.
was. Because I seen Tom if I get go straight. I need to stay away from this man. This man is dangerous.
He is dangerous. So he's absolutely dangerous. And not only is he dangerous, he's now behind me. I have took a corner much neater, much sharper than he has, and I am in the lead barely, 0.2, 0.1 seconds. We're effectively neck and neck here. You're trying to take me out again, which
There's
is
a lot of dogfighting. I was using you as a strategic moving barrier. It was a lot to stop me from spinning out a lot of the time.
okay.
Tactical more than malicious, we'll say.
And right now, you've nudged me again going to a corner. There's a lot of tactics in this one,
Jockeying.
Tom. Right now, Cardinal's miles in front, but he's currently on his roof.
And he's just spun out massively there.
But
Doing a
he
barrel roll.
has...
And I've just spun out as well.
But the only thing about Cardinal doing that is he had built up such a substantial lead that it hasn't really affected his race at all. I have closed the gap a little bit, but I'm still 4.5 seconds behind him. And we are 6 laps coming up to 7, or 6 laps now. It's still Cardinal in first, me in second, Tomahawk.
There's definitely a moment here, sorry
Sherry's
to
in
interrupt,
third.
where it kind of...
Oh, so
Now,
If you-
I will apologize for that, but I've always maintained don't finish last.
okay. So for our listeners who aren't watching the video right now, what has happened there is Sherry has overtaken Tomahawk after a corner, and just as he powers past, Tomahawk has given a little nudge on his rear wing and sent Sherry spinning into a billboard, which has halted his race completely. Now Tomahawk has built up a sizable lead over Sherry. Tell me, Sherry, I noticed there in your gameplay that it takes you a few seconds to hit that accelerator button. After Tomahawk ruthlessly, maliciously, violently took you out, what was your thoughts? I think I know.
You don't want to know my actual.
Give us the PG version.
The reason I stopped moving because I was on the brink of either launching my controller against the wall or hitting start. I'm like, no, I'm not gonna ruin this. I'm just gonna take.
Dear, oh dear.
That is incredible.
But
So,
no, if I wasn't using my new 75-pound controller, it would have been in the wall. Like,
So, okay, so you felt pretty bad, and it's all Tom's fault. That's what I'm hearing. That is what I'm hearing.
yeah,
Right now, I have taken Cardinal's 5-second lead and got it down to half a second. I am breathing down his neck. Right now, I know in his screen he can hear my engine closing that gap and then overtaking him.
Oh, that's a lovely little... Oh, it's neck and neck, first and second now.
Yep.
At this point of the race, I definitely realized I'm not making this gap. So if I just need to race a solid third place, that was pretty much my game plan there. Yes, I've probably been the only player who's played
Assaulted?
a little bit, yeah, assaulted. I was gonna say a little bit fast and loose with the racing rules, but that's the aim of the game, and I've spun out for about the 5th time.
Yep, right about that time. Your tactics are costing no one really but yourself and Sherry. Right now, me and Cardinal have just done a full lap, neck and neck. There hasn't been more than 0.02 seconds between us for a full lap, and Cardinal's currently in the lead. But I don't think it's gonna be for much longer because I've taken out corner better than him. But look at this is how you race, gentlemanly. He was in my racing line. That's what that was.
Cardinal's car's in a bad one.
It is. He had spun out. Sure, he had hit the wall and rolled on his roof. I think right now I'm the only player who hasn't had to reset their car at all. We are 10 laps in, coming up to the 11th. The rankings are in first is me. Cardinal is in second. He's just retaken first. Tomahawk's in third after his filthy tactics. And Sherry is in last as a victim of Tomahawk's filthy tactics. I mean,
Glad that there's no driver's inquest, at the end of this.
I mean, I think there should be. At one point this afternoon, when we saw the edited footage, Cardinal had put you and Sherry in the wrong quadrant, and I think we should have kept her. I think Sherry should take home the third, because he wasn't third until you savagely assaulted him, tried to kill him. It's attempted murder.
But this is the thing, though. You are all racing. I did remember there's a destruction element to this game, so why not lean into it a little bit? It would be rude if there wasn't a hair of controversy in any of our challenges.
I mean, absolutely. So right now, I am in first, and I have seen Sherry ahead of me, and I didn't want to take a risk of some underhanded tactics I've already been victim to this race. So I actively avoided Sherry and took the longer route around. He's cost me an absolute.
But for the people that were
for the
people that were paying attention, you will notice
You did pull over, in fairness, and you were going to let me pass, but I wasn't taking that risk, mate. I'm not taking that risk. I did notice that Cardinal does take that risk, and you were literally in the wall, letting him pass you, and for somehow he winds up on his roof.
Cardinal's spun off.
See, what I think's happened here is Cardinal's race was really clean until the laps started counting down, and I was still in the lead, and I think he's been pushing the boundaries of what his car can and can't do in order to catch me. And I think
that's it, because even when we were sort of planning this and we were picking the car to kind of go with, this is the most average of the roster that was available as well. This was very much 4s and 5s out of 10. So he has pushed the capability of this car to its absolute limit. The handling wasn't fantastic on it, but he's put himself in the red, I think, very much in these latter laps.
Yeah, so for people who have never played Wreckfest, it works like Destruction Derby. In the bottom left-hand corner, you have a diagram of your car, and you have regions of the car that will go from white to pink to red, depending on how much damage there are. Right now, Cardinal's entire offside of his vehicle is red, so that means he has a problem with his axle in the front specifically, which means that his acceleration is affected, his braking is affected, and his corner is affected. So in the act of all those crashes and tumbles, he's doing himself a disservice by damaging his car, and it does affect the racing in this game pretty substantially, in fact. The fact that I've raced really, really clean gives me the upper hand in this, and there's Cardinal.
That's a big
crash
again.
On his roof
I'm
again.
only seeing this back now, and I didn't realize Cardinal crashed as much. I thought it was a nice sort of tight racer between yourself and there's Luvva over the finish line then, first place.
The checkered flag is mine, and by comfortable margin. So that was a good race. It was tight a lot of time. Me and you were pretty much neck and neck for about 4 or 5 laps, Tomahawk. And then once I got past you by my superior driving skill and knowledge of racing lines and braking points, etc. Me and Cardinal were neck and neck for very, very, very long periods of time.
Not for the fact that I span out and couldn't recover, but yeah, let's go for that.
I mean, you did spin out and couldn't recover because I breezed past you and you tried to push your capabilities of your car, but you couldn't really compete with me, my standard, and the standards that I set for myself in every aspect of my life, really, really high, and I'm disappointing. And there's Sherry not even going to finish the race. He's going to do
He's just gonna
a
do some
Dominic
donuts.
Toretto donut. He lives his life one donut at a time. And I
Right,
don't mean
boy.
the baked good, although possibly. And that is it. That is it. So the final standings then for the race is in 4th place, Mr. John Sherry. In 3rd place,
Sorry, kid.
Tomahawk. In 2nd place, our driving expert, possibly no more, Cardinal Smith. And in 1st place, 3 times in a row, gentlemen, the streak continues. It is me. So that means that I'm getting the 3 points, Cardinal's getting the 2 points, Tomahawk's getting the 1 point, and Sherry, you're walking away empty-handed. But all is not lost, Sherry. Do not worry, mate, because we still have the bonus point. So the fastest laps from slowest to fastest is as follows. Mr. John Sherry, your fastest lap was the slowest, marginally. Your fastest lap was 40 seconds, 0.842. Tomahawk, you were 3rd fastest with a fastest lap of 40.554 seconds. So about, what, 290th
200ths
of a second.
yeah.
Close.
Tight.
In 2nd place with the 2nd fastest lap is me with 39.542.
You're
Which
a full
means-
second quicker as well.
Which means Cardinal Smith takes the bonus point for the fastest lap, which his time was 38.344. So what does this do for the league then? Well, it does this. In 4th place, after picking up no points, is Sherry, who is still on 20 points. In 3rd place, Cardinal grows the gap by picking up 3 points this week. So he is on 29. Tomahawk, you have picked up a solitary point. So you are now 2nd on 49 points. And I am miles ahead. A 15-point gap going into the last game of the season.
Pish posh.
Almost insurmountable, some will say. But I feel like I've played this record before. I am on 64 points. A full 15 points clear. Tomahawk, you've led the way most this season. You are in the position I was in last year, leading the way just to watch it erode before your very
Slip
eyes.
before my hand. Yeah, it's not a nice feeling. It's actually
No.
it's not a nice feeling having it all, watching it. I'm watching it all back week by week as it falls apart. But interesting.
Yeah.
It's very interesting going into the finale. We'll say.
Yeah, it's a very straight. I know exactly how you're feeling. You start looking back at older episodes, going, "Could I have done
Where have I
better
done wrong?
in
Yeah.
that game? Yeah, should I have done better?" And Call of Duty was my killer last season. Could I have done better in Call of Duty? Could I have done better in this? Could I have done better in that? It's funny. It's a funny old sport. I have been in this position before where I thought going into the last game of the season, nailed on, and this year the gap is bigger, substantially bigger, but then that just means that the fall, should it happen, is going to be even bigger and more soul destroying.
Yeah.
I don't know if I can do it 2 seasons in a row. I mean, that is enough to break a lesser man. It's enough to break a man on the cusp of one hand on the trophy.
I'm fearing that if you do bottle it, we might not get a season 3. Love is just gonna
Go into
Take his
hiding.
ball and go home.
Go into hiding.
It's gonna
Make
go
me
into
own-
Spotify and just delete podcast
Make me own podcast.
It didn't exist.
called No Scores, No Stakes.
But yeah, it just means there's a lot more pressure riding on the finale challenge next week. And we all know what it is.
A
and
doozy.
It is a doozy, and it could be majestic or tragic. It's going to be one or the other. There's no in between with it. It's going to be, I don't know. I'm not looking forward to it. I will say that much.
In high scores, high stakes finale vibes,
Mhm.
it's another big pointer. Like another big points on
it's
show.
enormous. It is actually enormous. It's because we know what it is and we haven't yet disclosed it to the listeners. My thoughts on next week's challenge are: I think I know how it's going to go down, and the reason I think that is after we played Wreckfest. Long-term listeners will know when we play our games, like multiplayer games like that, we have a group chat and we're talking to each other. And after Wreckfest, like no sooner had Cardinal crossed the finish line, the first words out of his mouth were, "Sorry, Tom." And I was like, "What were you apologizing for?" And he's like, "Ah." And I think he said something along the lines of, "We had planned to stop you winning. We had planned to stop you winning." Explain yourself, Tomahawk. Are you... I feel like Julius Caesar here.
I don't know if it was anything that we had actually planned and put together.
That's not what
I think it
Cardinal
was-
said.
I don't.
Well, I
believe
don't-
them.
I don't believe what Cardinal's saying either. I feel as if this was something like knock him down a peg or two, knock him down a placement. If we can start closing the gap, it makes everyone's job a little less harder going into the finale. I don't believe, and I'm also smart enough not to leave a paper trail.
See, what
No
I think's happened.
conspiracy.
What I think has happened here, Sherry, and you can tell me if you agree or disagree with this. It sounded an awful lot like maybe Tomahawk and Cardinal have their own secret group chat, and they had conspired against me.
I
Their
agree.
host and savior. Now I know what the challenge is next week, and the fact that these two are plotting behind my back means that I could be up against it next week. And I'm looking after myself and I'm trusting nobody at all. Sherry,
Rightly so.
I'll bring you. So yeah. So I think we have I think the fuel tank in Wreckfest is empty, which means we should go to the wrap-up section where we can discuss
Absolutely.
next week's challenge, exactly how many points it's worth,
Oh,
and why I am so worried about this next challenge.
it is.
because-
It's actually a lot to digest. It's a lot to kind of dissect and break down as well.
I feel as though next week's episode could be extremely dramatic, and I think it will be very evident in the first few seconds of how that challenge has went. If it goes the way I think it's gonna go, that's all I'm saying. I am on to yous. Yous have unveiled yourselves a week too early, I would say. The veil has been lifted, and I see you for what you truly are, Tomahawk.
Heathens. Heathens.
I mean, I'm just
Oh,
waiting.
excellent.
I'm just waiting to get out the shower. Tomahawk and Cardinal are at a stand
Surprise.
in the back. It's like, why? It's only a game. It's only a hobby.
Oh,
Why?
brilliant.
It was supposed to be fun.
Right. None of this conspiracy nonsense. Let's go. Let's tell
No.
the people what to look to.
Hold on. I've got one more
Sounds
thing
like
to say.
something a conspirator would say.
Exactly. And on that note, I'm putting out a request from the listeners. If you think Tomahawk and Cardinal are conspiring against me in order to stop my march to victory, then let us know by leaving us a voicemail on anchor.fm/highscores/highstakes, or get in touch with us on Twitter at hscoreshstakes. If you think Cardinal and Tomahawk are conspiring against me, then let us know, and we'll announce the results next week. And speaking of next week, let's get to the wrap-up section where we can tell everyone exactly what the challenge is next week. That is it, guys. Season 2, episode 11, the penultimate episode of the season, is all wrapped up. That leaves us 2 jobs to do. And we're going to start by showing the people what next week's challenge is. So next week's challenge game is the often imitated, never bettered Fortnite. We are playing Fortnite. We're going to hit that algorithm, because Fortnite, it may be 6 years old, but it is still red hot. This is our moment. Let's not ruin it. But what is the challenge? I hear you scream into your devices you're listening to this on. Oh dear listener. Well, here it is. We are going to do a reverse score challenge. So what the hell does that mean? It means this. Should you be the first person to die in an open lobby, so if 100 players, if you are the first death, you will get 0 points. If you win it, you will get 100 points. It is massive. And this is why I am worried about what exactly this means for me, because I have a funny feeling that you 3 are going to try to land as close as possible to me and take me down really, really quickly. That's what I think is going to happen.
What I think is, you think that we're that clever? We just have to get 99 other people to do it for us.
And this is the other aspect that has me worried about this, is the absolute randomness of a Fortnite lobby. It isn't unconceivable that Tomahawk lands surrounded by 6-year-old children, and I land surrounded by 6 full-time streamers who have got 4,500 hours on Fortnite. Like, no, my luck, Tom will land beside a toddler, and I will land beside Ninja.
Like, it's so interesting. I thought whenever we conceptualized this challenge, I thought this is gonna go through beta. It's not gonna work. We're gonna have to think of something else. But I think because Doom was so enclosed with just the 4 of us, this I think is just gonna be, it's gonna be carnage, but it's also gonna be a good test to see who's the good online player. I think this is actually gonna test a lot of different aspects of our game and prowess as well.
I think this is it's obviously the biggest challenge we've ever done, and it's also gonna challenge our critical thinking skills, because it comes to a point where none of us can afford to be the first player to die, like in our group of 4, because right now any one of us can win this league if we get far enough. So it does come to the point of, at what point do we stick together and try to get as many points as possible? Do we maybe form up a wee union and try to kill as many players as possible to get up the points that we all get? And then at what point do we turn on each other? Because we have to kill each other, or other players are going to do it for us. There's a whole heap of like variables in this challenge. Do we work together? Do we not work together? Do we go and run? Do you engage random players and take that risk of it being an absolute god tier Fortnite player? Or do you find somewhere to hide and hunker down for as long as the circle will allow you to do so? There's a whole heap of stuff.
There's a lot of variables.
Right. And it's going to be amazing. That's why it's going to be an incredible finale challenge.
I'm very excited.
Y'all know
now that you've said it out loud, it's interesting. It actually, now that it's outside, it's in public domain, it's real, it is locked in. There's just I don't know, there's just when you get that feeling in your stomach, it just goes, oh, dump. Yep. That realization hits.
That's been my week.
Oh,
When I
I
realized this
feel
was
all
episode
goosies.
11, I was like, oh dear, Fortnite is a game I haven't played since like 2017. And I'm like, oh, I've never been good at it. And I haven't played it. I haven't even installed it because it's massive at the minute.
it's huge.
60
Mhm.
gig. I
Yeah.
downloaded it last week for the OG map coming back.
Yeah, yep. I think I'm gonna download it and play it for the rest of the week.
That's it. That's
because
definitely the plan now.
I have no experience in it at all. I'm dreading this challenge. Absolutely dreading it.
I'm just
I-
nervous because all I need to do is outlast Cardinal. That's all I need to do. Not finish last.
Well,
I just run us back through the scores there because
So-
there's quite a lot to kind of figure out who needs to beat who by how much.
so I think I'm right in saying this. So Sherry is 9 points behind Cardinal. So Sherry there needs to be 10 kills between Cardinal's death and Sherry's death in Sherry's favor. For Sherry to leapfrog Cardinal, you need the last 10 kills longer than him.
Easy.
For Cardinal to catch Tomahawk, he has to. It's 21 kills of a difference in Cardinal's favor. And for Tom to catch me, you need 16
kills, yeah.
16 kills in favor. This is before we take into. I don't think we should announce our city skylines until the
Oh.
record, because then we can't. That just takes another sort of aspect of. I could
Aye,
theoretically
that's
be
another.
25 points ahead of Tom because of my city skylines. So we're not going to reveal the city skylines populations until the record next week. But
You dastardly man.
so
that's
I could be
Good
20
Cardinal.
I could be 25 points ahead. I could be 5 points ahead. And I think the not knowing is smart. It does keep our strategies.
Damn
to
it, it's
ourselves.
real now. That's it.
It's gonna be a banger.
That's big. I think I don't think I've really. I think I've been a bit naive at how big this actually is.
It's enormous.
Huge.
It's enormous. Theoretically, I could die. I could be the first player to die and get no points. Sherry would then have to outlast me by 47 kills. So if I die
Not
first,
even
Just hitting
half-
it.
Sherry
Just be
finishes
top half.
Not even half the
43rd,
lobby.
and he wins the whole thing.
Interesting.
There's a lot of variables here, and it's going to be dramatic. It's going to be something. It is going to be something. I don't even know what it's going to be, but it's going to be something. And the only way for the listeners to know what it is going to be is by hitting that subscribe button or follow button on whatever platform you're listening to this on, and making sure you catch next Monday's episode, because it is going to be something special.
And
And
then there's gonna, the following week, I think we have penciled in my celebration parade, isn't it?
The open top bus tour. It's gonna be something. When you just take a step back and think about what Fortnite is, and the just sheer range of people who play Fortnite, and then what it means for us and our league, is there's an
Just-
astronomical amount of variables.
Just pray we get full of mobile phone players.
Yeah.
That's
Yes.
the plan. Yes.
That's our best bet.
Yes.
Hopefully, our level is so low that they just band us with people who have only just installed the game.
I'm dreading it. Absolutely dreading it. I don't know if I can go into another shitting game, clearly in the lead, one hand on the cup, and then get it snatched off me because I make a mistake or do something silly. So the pressure is really on. It's on everyone, apart from Sherry. He's nothing to lose. Sherry has nothing to lose.
But I
And
played the
everything to
Fortnite the
gain.
most out of everybody.
Yeah,
over
And
the
it's a shitter.
years. And it's a shitter.
and it's a shitter. So
So
make sure you're tuning in next week, everyone, and catching the sure to be gripping and enthralling High Scores, High Stakes Season 2 season finale. It promises to be spectacular, I think. Not looking forward to it at all. But anyway,
dear.
speaking
Luvva
of
feels
things,
sick.
speaking of things I'm not looking forward to, it's time for the social media roundup. So let's just say you're listening to this right now, and whatever you're listening to us on, and you like what we're doing and you want to support the podcast, the easiest way of doing that is by hitting that subscribe, follow, like button, whatever it might be. Hit that means you're always guaranteed to hear the next episode. If you've done that and you want to do a bit more, the next easiest thing you can do is, if you're listening on Spotify, scroll down the description. There's polls and there is a Q&A. The polls are just usually something quite silly or fun. The Q&A is usually something to help us improve the podcast. If you have ideas of how we can make this better, then let us know in there. It gives you a voice, and we will listen to any and all suggestions and see if we can implement it to make a podcast that everyone's going to enjoy. If you've already done that, you're going, love, I do this every week. What can I do? If you haven't yet rated us on whatever platform you listen to, you can do that. If you think we deserve a 1-star, give us a 1-star and explain why. If you think we deserve a 5-star, give us a 5-star and then explain why. I don't know what they do. I have no idea what reviews do. No one seems to have any idea what reviews do, but they do something. Big podcasts ask for it, so why not? I'm not above asking for it either. If you've done all that and you still want to support the podcast, or you want to continue the conversation, the next thing we have is our Discord server. The link is in the description of this podcast, and it's in the description of every episode. So what we have there is a whole heap of servers, one for every challenge we've ever done. If you know you can do better than what we have done in the challenge, then take a wee screenshot, get yourself over to Discord, and get yourself on the leaderboard for every single challenge. We also have a What Are You Playing server, where we just talk about games that everyone's playing. Take the Michael out of Tomahawk's decision making in the Supermassive games, and just basically it's good vibes, good times. Everyone's really nice and friendly, and it is getting busier and busier. We have lots there. There's lots and lots in Discord. Discord's probably the best place to continue any conversation that we start. If you want to throw suggestions on what we could do for the podcast for season 3, any sort of segments you'd like, any segments you don't like, you can throw it in Discord as well. We're always looking at it. We're always looking for constructive criticism on the podcast. If you're done with Discord, or you don't like the software, whatever, you can find us on Twitter /X. We are at HScoresHstakes. There we do lots and lots of stuff. We meme a lot. We interact with everyone who interacts with us. We also do This Day in PlayStation, which is where we delve through the annals of PlayStation history and pick a game that released on a particular day. It's good crack. Some absolute bangers have popped up here this year. There's been some forgotten gems in there, and some games that probably are best forgotten. NCAA 2011.
God, you remember that? That was
Remember that week?
That was an interesting week.
That was 6 out of 7 days were NCAA games. Next up, we also have Instagram at High Scores High Stakes Podcast. There is a lot of work that goes into the Instagram account. We have short form videos. We have a lot of like Q&As. We have a lot of like prompts to spark conversation. There's a lot of stuff going on there, a lot of work going into it. Short form videos, outcuts, best parts of previous episodes, the whole heap is there. Get yourself over to Instagram at High Scores High Stakes Podcast. And then if you like short form videos and you're not adverse to having a wee TikTok account, you can find us there as well. There we are at High Scores High Stakes, and it is the same sort of short form video format, highlights, lowlights, outtakes of the podcast, plus a whole heap of like abridged challenges that we've done throughout the near 30 episodes we've done now. Shockingly enough, nearly 30 episodes.
Crazy.
Wild. And then if you're listening to this on Apple Podcast or Google Podcast or any other podcast that doesn't support video yet, and you want to know what our gameplay looks like, the easiest way of doing that is getting yourself over to youtube.com /at High Scores High Stakes. There we have a whole heap of short videos. We have every episode that we've done uploaded. You can catch it all there in beautiful 1080p. And then finally, the work in progress twitch.tv. Which
it's going to be big.
It's going to be massive. We've bigged this up for months now. and yet the only 2 streams on it are my testing streams to make sure everything was working as it should. If you want more high scores, high stakes, you want more of us, then we are planning, and it is probably going to be the new year. Now, I think it's fair to say, I doubt we're going to start streaming in December with the holidays and Christmas and stuff coming up. So if you want more video content from us, get yourself over to twitch.tv/high scores, high stakes. There, the plan is you'll get one of us streaming a game we're playing casually. Maybe we're testing games for challenges on this. Maybe we're practicing games that are going to be challenges on the podcast. What we're hoping for is that at 4 days a week, we'll do a day a week each for a couple of hours. But you'll see one of us there. If you see us online streaming, jump on into the chat. Don't have to say anything. Even just a wee lurk would do wonderful. But if you want more video content, twitch.tv is going to be the place to go for live gameplay from us. And I think that is it. I don't believe I've forgotten anything this week, Tomahawk. That is getting smooth. It's not getting shorter, but it's getting smoother. And we do have a couple more surprises in the pipeline.
Indeed.
I would dare say it's going to be January as well before we can proudly announce it.
I think so. We have a few bits in the pipeline, so looking forward to getting that out in the world. Let's see.
To get on the front line of any breaking news of the High Scores, High Stakes podcast, make sure you follow us on one of those social medias I've just pointed you to. And that means for the second last time this season, the only thing left to say is I've been Mr. Luvva. This has been High Scores, High Stakes. See you Monday. Love y'all.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.